Welcome back to another ITALKI related video. Today is going to be an ITALKI FAQ. I've taken a bunch of questions that I've received in comments and questions that I see online very often, and I'm just going to be answering them all for you today. And if you have any questions that I missed in this video, feel free to ask them below. I would love to try to answer them for you. But let's go ahead and get into it. I'm going to start out with all of the questions that have to do with being a student on ITALKI. Question number 1, how do I find a good teacher on ITALKI? I would recommend narrowing your search. So for example, if you're learning English and you want to have a teacher that lives in the UK, make sure that you narrow your search to that. Also, please make sure that you read the entire profile of the teacher and watch their video and read the lesson descriptions before you book a lesson for them. Because a lot of times teachers will have a ton of information about what they do and what they don't do. So if you read their entire teacher profile, chances are you won't have as many issues. It'll kind of give you an idea of like who they are, what their personality is like, so it'll be a bit easier to find the right one for you. The next question is, I didn't like the teacher I booked with, what do I do? You have 2 options. You can either let them know what you need. So for example, if you like the teacher, you kind of like their teaching style, but the lesson itself just wasn't at all what you were looking for, just be like, hey, you created a lesson for me about business English. That's not really what I was looking for. I was actually looking for slang or something like that. Could we make sure that maybe next time we have something a bit more like that? Usually they'll be able to adjust, or they'll let you know, hey, I actually don't have any lessons for that, or that's not something that I'm able to teach. I think just open communication is great. Or if you just had a bad experience or you just don't click with their personality or whatever, feel free to book with another teacher. It's a-okay. There's a ton for you to choose from. We won't get offended. Next question is, how do I get the most out of the lesson? I recommend having an idea of like what your long-term goals are. If you also know your short-term goals, that's great. So for example, I am learning French because I want to be able to visit France, make friends there, speak with people in French, that sort of thing. That's a goal that I want to let my teacher know about. So if you want to get the most out of your lesson, make sure the teacher knows why you're learning the language that you want to learn. Also let them know your learning style. A lot of this will fall on them to ask you these things and to make sure that that's like really properly communicated. But if you go into it having a clear idea, you'll be able to get more from the lessons. How quickly will I learn my target language? It takes time. If the only time you're learning is for like one 30-minute lesson a week and you're not doing any studying or anything outside of that, you're not going to learn very fast. If you're taking a 1-hour class every single day, you're probably going to see improvements a bit faster. Or if you just take 1 class per week on ITALKI and then you're studying every single day or several times a week, you'll have faster progress. So it really just depends on the amount of time that you want to put into it, but you can't expect a teacher to be able to teach you an entire language with just 30 minutes a week. So yeah, that one's up to you. What do I do if there was a problem with my lesson? Reach out to ITALKI support. They're there to support you. They're really good about being fair between the teachers and the students. If you have screenshots of conversations, that is good to come prepared with. Every issue I've had with ITALKI, which issues don't really come up that often, but when they do, ITALKI support has always been great. All right, this is the end of the student section. If you have any questions, feel free to comment them below. Feel free to skip to the outro if you don't want to hear any of the FAQ stuff about the teachers. But yeah, let's get into the teacher questions. First question is, do I need a degree to teach on ITALKI? And not necessarily. There are different options. So for example, I'm a community tutor and I am just fluent in English and am over the age of 18. But if you want to be a professional teacher, you do have to have either a teaching certificate or a bachelor's degree or both. So you have options. Next question is, why didn't my student book another lesson? You can always ask a student for feedback. I don't, just because there could be a million reasons why someone didn't book another lesson with me. And if they want to give me feedback, they can on their own, but I'm not gonna go chase it down because I don't want anyone to feel bad for not booking another lesson with me, because like I get it. It could be for a million reasons. I would say not to sweat it, but if it's really bothering you for some reason, you can reach out. I wouldn't. People do. How do I make lesson plans? There are a lot of free resources online. I'm coming from the perspective of an English tutor. You can literally Google English ESL, lesson plans, activities. But I would also say to be creative, use things that are not just a textbook or a worksheet. Try to find your own materials. I like finding articles, YouTube videos, TED Talks, all sorts of different things because I want to keep it feeling fresh. I don't want it to feel like a classroom because I am a tutor. I'm not a teacher, so I want to keep it feeling kind of fun. You'll figure out what works and what doesn't. And also focus on the student when you're making lesson plans. Don't focus on like, I need to make 40 different possible lessons for everyone. No, just maybe start with a few that are basic, about basic grammar things and whatever, and then make lesson plans as you gain more students and make it based around the students. How do I become a teacher or tutor on ITALKI? I made an entire video on it. Basically, you have to submit an application, a video, intro video, an application, an intro video, a written introduction. If you're planning to be a professional teacher, you also have to submit like some of your paperwork to prove your work history, degree, stuff like that. But I'll link that video down below as well as a post. My application was denied. What do I do? If they gave you a reason as to why your application was denied, you can always fix it, apply again at a later date. Sometimes they just have too many applications. I know currently a lot of people are having issues with that. There's actually a place on their website where they let you know what teachers they're currently looking for. I'll also link that down below, and it updates every Monday, so just keep checking back. How do taxes work? Do you have to pay taxes on ITALKI? Yes, it's considered self-employed work, so you have to go by what your country's rules are for taxes, but keep track of all of the money you make from ITALKI. How can I increase my students' confidence? I get a lot of students who are very nervous, who aren't very confident in their English. They interrupt themselves often, or they apologize, or they get nervous, or whatever. With those students, I give them a lot of positive feedback. When I have corrections, I give them gentle corrections and kind of spaced out. Usually after a lesson or two, I start kind of correcting them on more things. But especially if they're a student that's constantly interrupting themselves in the middle of a sentence and they're like, oh wait, I have to say that again, or oh, I'm sorry. I just let them speak. I just let them speak. I don't interrupt them in the middle of sentences. I'll give their corrections once they're done speaking, but I just let them get it all out. And just, I try to stay very positive and let them know what they're doing well. Oh, but if it's a student that doesn't want to speak or who gives really short answers, just ask follow-up questions. And you can get really specific. So, describe to me the city that you were born in. Oh, it's good. Okay, is there a favorite restaurant or something that you would go to as a kid? Yeah. I want you to tell me one memory about that restaurant. Or like go really specific with it to the point where they can't just give you like a, oh, it was good. Oh, this one thing. Yes, no. Be like, I want you to describe to me this. Asking them to describe things usually works. How do I retain students? Okay, this really depends on the lesson type. So if it's a student that does a more structured lesson, I'll be like, hey, this is what we're gonna work on next time. Or if, I don't know, if I notice they haven't booked in a bit, I'll reach out to them and be like, hey, I found this amazing article. When you book your next lesson, I'll make sure to send it to you. I thought of you for this, or whatever. Just kind of keep that connection going. If it's a student that just does conversation practice lessons, oftentimes I'll give discounts if someone hasn't booked in a while. I'll just be like, hey, we haven't chatted in a while. I'll give you, next time you book a lesson, I'll give you this much discount. That's just something I do. Or if someone is very loyal, every once in a while I like to sprinkle in like a little cheap lesson in there. But always letting them know what you'll be working on in the future, specifically what you'll work on next time, is always a great way to get them to keep booking. What equipment do I need to teach? Just a computer. With a somewhat fine webcam, I'll put a sample in here of what my webcam looks like and what my audio sounds like. Hi, this is exactly what everyone who spoke to me today saw. I use my AirPods and my built-in microphone on my computer. I mean, it's not like the most professional, but it's fine enough. I don't really run into issues with it. Final question, the juiciest one. How much money can you make as a teacher on ITALKI? I get this all the time from people in real life, online. I see it everywhere. You can't make a ton of money up front because you have to start with lower prices. but then after a while, you can kind of charge what you want within reason. I made an entire video about it. I will link that down below as to like how much you should start with, when you should raise your prices, everything like that. It just depends. It depends on how open you can have your schedule. It depends on what you start your prices at, how often you raise your prices, how many students are booking with you, what types of lessons you offer. So just know probably not as much as you're hoping at the beginning, but then after a while, it depends on so many factors. I'm not really sure that there's anything that I haven't covered now when it comes to ITALKI stuff. So if you have any ideas, feel free to leave them in the comments below, and I'll make sure to get to that at some point in the future. But next week I have a bit more of a concept-y type video. So if you watched my Coping with 2020 video, it's kind of gonna be similar to that. So stay tuned for that. Thank you to everyone who has been supporting these ITALKI videos. I appreciate you all a lot, and I'm always here if you have any questions, whether it's about tutoring on ITALKI or being a student on ITALKI. As I say in every video, I have so much love for this platform and I just want to share it with as many people as possible. So yeah. All right, I will see you guys in the comments below, and I will also see you guys next Friday, 12 noon Eastern Standard Time, when I post my next video.